Now we're going to move forward from this image that we scanned, my feathers on my desktop, and I'm going to open that in Photoshop. To do that, I have to find Photoshop, which is like our scanning software or application found in our applications folder. So I went to the hard drive and opened applications, and I'm going down to find Photoshop. The Photoshop that we're using in the lab is Photoshop CC or Creative Cloud. You notice I have just about every iteration of Photoshop on my computer right now. There's two different ways that I can open this. I can click on it or double click on it, which will open the Photoshop application, or I can take my feather and simply drag that and have that touch the Photoshop application, which will get the whole thing started and open the feather up for me. We're going to just walk through a little bit of where we're at with our Photoshop application. You'll notice that my feather is upside down. Very first thing that I might want to do is make this the right side up. And I'm going to go under Image and down to Image Rotation, and I'm going to flip it 180 degrees. And that will have it being the right orientation. Some of the things that makes Photoshop easy to remember is that things that affect the image that you've just scanned are found under the heading or the bar at the top called Image. So this is where I'm going to look for my adjustments or my tone or my color or how to change my image size or my canvas size. And we're going to start to move through some of this. One of the very first things that I'm going to do is get this to have a little bit more contrast, and I'm going to do that by going into Adjustments. Brightness and contrast will do this. I'm going to use the levels to do this, but either of these, try both of them out. They have slider bars, and it makes it really user-friendly for you to look at it and say, yes, I like it, no, I don't. In levels, what I'm going to do is take this darkness slider and move it in towards the content. So what is happening is that I'm actually letting this very dark, this dark arrow know that I want this elements within the photo or the image that I scan to be much darker. The gray one, as you move it towards the dark arrow, will lighten your middle tones, or as you move it towards the white, will darken your middle tones. I'm going to try to get that back to normal, and we're going to say OK. The next steps that I'm going to go through are how to separate this out and how I might begin to turn this into plates or transfer sheets of paper that I can use to build this back in foil. And so there are some steps that I'm going to go through. Very first thing I want to do is go over to my layers. I have this called background. What background does is it means that this is the lowest layer in my Photoshop document, and it will always stay background. So if I go into this and try to erase this either with my erase tool or by using my lasso tool, it's going to still put the background color back in, and I don't want that to happen. In order to keep that from happening, I double click on background, and I can call it layer 0, or I can call it layer base. I can call it whatever name makes the most sense to me. I'm going to just let this stay as layer 0. Now, if I would like to start to remove the white, which is really where I'm going to start, I'm going to use my magic wand tool. And that's this little tool down here on my toolbar. The tolerance is default at 32. In most cases, this is a very fine setting to have. Some people like to up it so that it selects pixels that are within a color range. So if I set it higher, it's going to select the lighter blues that are in this and think that those are white as part of the selection. I'm going to leave it right at 32, select the white, and you notice that it selected things that were continuous around the exterior. Now I'm going to go up under Select and go down to Similar, and this should select some of the white selections that are within the middle. At this point, I'm going to hit delete on the keyboard, and it should remove all of that. We're going to see a checkerboard pattern as though we're working through transparent layers on a kitchen table. And so there we are. There are those checkerboards that I just talked about, as well as the little marching ants letting me know that the white that I had selected is still considered a selection. And I'm going to need to deselect that before I go forward. I can find that under select, but I also start using keyboard commands. So I'm going to use this little Command D, so that's on the keyboard, or as my friend Matt Greenwell would call it, the butterfly key, so butterfly D. And I'm going to deselect. At this point, I'm going to save my document, and I'm going to give it a name. I might call this feather foil, or I might call this, I might give it a date. So let's give this June, and we'll say 15 so we know when this is done. It's going to save onto the desktop. I'm not going to put it in my folder. I'm just going to let it sit on the desktop. The really good thing about saving things in Photoshop is it will keep that density of the pixels that we're working with. And we might save iterations or versions of this as we move through to build up different options for printing. I'm going to let everything stay the same and just hit OK. And then we're going to go and continue with this demo.